Hey everyone, Glimpse here, and today we're going to be joining you from Natlan. So pretty much the standard 5-star selector is finally here. Now I'm going to tell you guys which one to properly pick. I have not made my choice yet, but I'm going to pick that by the end of this video. Right now I'm going to show you guys, kind of talk about what should be the best decision to make. If you guys do want to see more types of content like this, more throughout Natlan, more trying out just generally the new characters, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, hopefully to see you guys around just more often. Now, getting into this, first off, we're going to start out with the first standard character. We're going to start out with the original 5, and then we're gonna kind of go from there. So first off, we've got Qiqi here. I'm going to start out by saying this is the only one of the standard banner characters that I do not have at least somewhat leveled. So don't pull Qiqi probably. Oh, and those of you that there's certain characters you care about or don't really want to care about, go ahead and there's going to be timestamps down below. I've been learning how to put those in, so yeah, go ahead and just scroll through, see whatever you need to see. Now, first off, Qiqi here, she's a healer, she'll keep you alive, but there's so many other characters that do her job better, not necessarily something that I think you should pull for unless you just really like the character, then in which case she's fine. This is probably the shortest section here, but yeah, Qiqi overall not the best pull. She doesn't really bring, like most of the other healers in the game, there's kind of something else they bring, where she'll basically only bring you, Merit C4, she'll basically only bring you healing, right? Like that's kind of all she's really used for. So now that we got the main one like to not pull out of there, we're going to kind of talk about like some other ones. Here Mona, she's a pretty good pull. Pretty much any of these characters other than Qiqi, I'd say you have like some case for saying that you might want. Like she's really good for damage per second number, damage per screenshot, if you kind of just want to get like a big hit off. But other than that, she's not too much. Like her C1 here doesn't even really work. Well, most of it does, except right here, the frozen duration is extended by 15%. That does nothing. That's just a lie, so don't like pull it in hopes of fixing your freeze team with that or anything. They just like forgot to code that in. It's been a bug and they still haven't fixed it. So once again, that's kind of, don't make your decision off that. Pretty much like the most important ones, I think it's C1 for like these types of teams up here, and her C4 I believe are pretty important. Yeah, so look at that one. Opponent attacks crit rate increased by 15%. So that's pretty solid, especially when you're trying to hit those big damage numbers. That's one that I do recommend kind of looking into if you just want to see how hard you can hit sometimes. Next one here is Jean. Some of these characters throughout the list right here we are going to talk about like certain characters you should pull them with. Like if you have Farina, then Jean is probably a pretty good pick. And just like a general rule of thumb to get out there, for a lot of people, getting a new character will be more fun than constellations on an old character, unless you're like dead set on that character. Like I know I love this one the most. Then go ahead and pull for them. But like one thing here, Farina, if you need a good healer to go with Farina, Jean is a pretty good option. Basically, I don't even have her that highly invested, but she's at C6. Like I have her level 70 weapon. Her artifacts aren't even mostly 20 at all. Just have her like full attack build, even though you should have her on Viridescent. Like almost no investment, just gave her a whole bunch of ER. Pretty much whenever I spam her, she's at 1600 attack and she can basically full heal your team. So this is something that's very attainable, something that's super easy to build up to. Some important constellations if you do want to make her pretty good. Let's see. Her C2 is pretty good right here, just if you want to have movement speed and attack speed increase, because the more times you hit, obviously the more damage you're going to get. So just by taking all those hits, pushing them a little closer to each other, that is going to speed up some damage that you can get out. So that's a pretty solid one. I think this one's a pretty good one. Yeah, Animo resistance decreased by 40%. That's a pretty damn solid one. That one's really important. This is just more burst level here, which is notable. I mean, if you want to just invest a little less into her. And then incoming damage is decreased by 35% when you're in her ult, and then upon leaving the field, this lasts for 3 attacks or 10 seconds. That's pretty solid, actually. Like, I don't know, what are they saying? 2029, you're gonna have C6 Dehya and stuff. That's pretty funny. But if you want to like start working towards some characters kind of in the background and get you one step closer to that C6 of a standard character you like, I say go for it. Jean's a pretty good option. Excuse me. You can slot her into a lot of different teams, and overall, yeah, I do recommend her. Like I play her somewhat often. I mean, there's some teams that I think she's a lot of fun in, or I just want a healer to kind of slot in. She's a pretty solid pick, I would say. Okay, next up, we're getting into like the two main DPS from the original 5 that we're gonna kind of take a look at here. Here we've got Keqing. I've got her weapon here. I've got her at C6. Her constellations, like Keqing's constellations aren't anything crazy. Like she's pretty solid even at C0. Then at C6 she's just a little bit better. Like the constellations aren't crazy, so if you only ever see 0 or anything, don't worry too much about it. If she's a character you love, you can definitely make her work. Like I have her 61 to 32. She's not crazy. Like I feel like there's a lot of characters she's kind of just weaker than. But since 1.0, she's got a pretty big buff at the release of Dendro. Like I have her 8, 10, 10. So all this here is pretty solid actually. Like I kind of run a hybrid build attack EM. You probably want to go Thundering Fury on her, or just any of the other like Gilded Dreams type thing. But I just kind of like having this hybrid to kind of switch on and off. And yeah, so she's a fine pick. She works mostly in like Dendro, Quick Bloom, Aggravate, and that type of team. But you can also run her full Electro. You can even run her physical. I mean, I don't recommend that. Like, don't do that unless you know what you're getting yourself into. Don't think it's going to be great. So she's a lot of fun, but I don't like Alhatham's kind of just better if you want that play style. But if she's a character you really like, go ahead and pull for her. She'll be fun to play, but just don't expect too much from any of these standard characters, because none of them are going to be like top tier best DPS. But they're gonna be a lot of fun to get a new character and mess around with. Now, Diluc here, pretty sick. I have him at level 90. He's the only standard character I believe I have at 90 right now. 207 EM, 2400 attack. We're at 68, 173. Got him over here on the old Crimson Witch of Flame set. Pretty solid. I have him 10, 10, 8, double crown this character. But I only have him at C1. How that happened, I do not know. This is the only one I really wanted from all the standard characters, and these have been few and far between, especially seeing all the other constellations on my characters. But his constellations also aren't great. Like I think I remember hearing somewhere a long time ago that like each constellation is like between a 10 and 20% damage buff. So none of these are like super crazy. They're all just like a little bit higher investment. And mostly if you have like if you have Xianyun, he's a character that you really want to play with Xianyun. That'll really buff him, his damage overall. Or also like some Yelan teams and stuff. In my Yelan video, if you go find the Diluc part of the video, you can see he actually does some pretty solid numbers. Like I was really impressed there. I was having a good time. But yeah, Xianyun and Yelan are kind of some characters you probably, or Farina too. Those are some characters you probably should have if you want to make him fully effective. But if you just want a fun character, he's the one I find the most fun of the standard characters. But he's also kind of just, people find him kind of spammy, just kind of brute force spam auto attacks and stuff. So nothing too crazy here. Pretty cool stuff. I have him on Gravestone. You can put him on any crit weapon, attack percent, EM, whatever you want. He's super versatile, a lot of fun. Now, to get into the two newer releases that are a little less outdated than the old ones, I guess that there's a little more going for him here. Dehya, level 80 out of 90. I'm sure most of you guys have heard about the controversy with her when she was first coming out, just about how weak she was in general. Maybe starting to work towards that C6 would make her a little bit better. Like, I think her C6, like, if you're talking about characters' individual damage, I've heard that her C6 is one of the, like, getting her to C0 versus C6 is one of the biggest jumps of any of the characters. So her C6 does make her a little more DPS-y. Like, you can even play her DPS-y now with kind of Yelan and Farina and just try to really, like, steroid her up. She's not going to do a lot of damage, right? She's very good at tanking. She might be, I put her in my top 10 to pull characters before Natlin, or like to build, strictly because I think she'll be good throughout Natlin with like burning teams and stuff, and I feel like there's going to be like a pretty good burning focus in general throughout Natlin, or there might be, you want to be doing some double pyro teams and stuff, and she'll be really good at helping you tank some damage. She heals herself back up, but the other members from your team just, like, she takes like half the damage your team takes and just puts it onto herself pretty much, and then when she gets below a certain part, she heals herself up. Now the team never really heals back up, which means it's kind of just slowly like deteriorating. But if you're doing it just for fun, or you're also doing it in the abyss, then that doesn't matter too much. That's okay to have that little downside to her. Other than that, she's a lot of fun. I also have her on Wolf's Gravestone level 90. I kind of have her on this set here, the Vorokasha set. It's kind of a hybrid build, like really focus on the HP, focus on the skill and burst damage at the same time. Like I have her hybrid here, you can see 55 to 109, but 2,300 attack, 31,000 HP. So I can kind of play her in a couple different teams. I play her DPS occasionally. She's not great at it though, right? Like that's literally just because I like the character a lot. I think her design's really good, and I think she looks sick. So if you like her, pull for her. Some notable constellations other than her C6. This one here, max HP is increased by 20%. and she deals bonus damage based on her max HP. So you get more HP, and then you just get extra damage from your skill. This one right here, the duration of the field that you make that like takes the damage and applies power to the enemies, which is what makes her good for burning, increased by 6 seconds, which is pretty helpful actually. So like it's some more increased damage as well. This is pretty solid here because like there's just characters where you need longer setups and longer power application going before before it runs out. Yeah, go ahead and do this because it's not going to make her apply power any quicker, but it will help her. Like it won't fix any issues if the team just needs faster power app, but if it's fine with the slow application, just like for burning teams, just needs a little bit longer. Excuse me, just needs it running for a little bit longer. Then yeah, that's a pretty solid one. And then that's fine. That's kind of just energy. It lets you play or burst more often. And then this one here is just increased crit rate and crit damage and stuff. And overall, just a pretty big damage increase for her. So she's a pretty good option to look for as well if you kind of have some teams. Like if you have Emily, she's a good one to pull with. If you're kind of thinking of wanting to run like Mulan or Kanichi teams coming up soon, then she's also a character that you're going to want to pull for. So yeah, I mean that's you guys get the point there. Last but not least, Tighnari here. Probably, honestly, if you didn't have any of these characters, this is probably one of the better ones to pick if you need a DPS. He's probably the highest damaging one from all the standard characters. 54, 196. I have him at like decent investment here. I have him at level 90. I like this bow because it kind of matches the aesthetic. But, excuse me, his best probably is signature if you got it way back when, or like an Amos bow, or just anything with EM, attack, crit. You don't want EM as much. You don't want attack as much. You want EM more than attack in a lot of cases here. But you can, I think he can use a little bit of both, but mostly just go for EM. Then kind of have him on Wanderers, which is great. Kind of set you just always farm passively, which is why like I didn't do any single specific farming for him, and I kind of got this 306. He's a pretty solid character. Just talk about some constellations that would be good. Here you can see the investment I have in him, 888. Some constellations here. This first one's pretty good, just his charge attack damage, which you will be doing a decent amount of. Crit rate increased by 15% there, which means you just need less investment on crit rate. You can focus more on crit damage or EM or whatever other stats you want, kind of amp up that damage just overall by having less focus on crit rate. I think that's one of his main ones. What was the other one? C4. So I think this is his burst. All members gain 60% EM. Then another EM. So it's just a lot of EM for your team. It's fine. It's kind of like a support thing or just overall like team-wide damage increase. Pretty solid. His C6 right here. Here you go. Wreath's arrow charge time is decreased by 0.9 seconds and produce 1 additional arrow upon hit. That's pretty solid. That just seems like you just get to attack a lot quicker with like certain charge attacks and stuff. That's pretty much how he works. He used to do charge attacks really quickly, and decreasing that by 0.9 seconds, that's kind of crazy. So, especially because it already only takes like a second. What is it gonna be, like 0.1 second? That does seem kind of crazy. So yeah, those are just all kind of things you can start working towards. Now, for those of you that have been waiting, I'm gonna show you guys. Let's see who I'm picking. So pretty much, quick recap. Like Jean if you have Farina, Diluc with like Shanyan / Farina. Mona if you just want single hit damage. Probably don't pull Qiqi unless you like her. So you want to run some aggravate teams and stuff, that type of thing. Oh, it says the constellation levels. That's sick. Right here on all the characters. That's cool. Okay, Dehya if you kind of want some more burning teams, or you just really like her, kind of want to maybe try to get her to C6 eventually and play her as DPS. Tighnari is probably the best option here. So that's what we're picking. Just kidding. We're going for Diluc because I need more constellations for him. Look at that. We did it. Finally, C2, I believe. Look at that. Dude, that's sick. Yeah, if you're asking me for my recommendation, I tell you probably recommend Tighnari if you just overall. But once again, if you're not looking for that type of thing, then just pull for whatever you like. Honestly, it's not going to ruin your account. You're going to have a great time. I'm so glad Genshin decided to finally give us a 5-star selector. When Diluc takes damage, his attack increased by 10% and his attack speed increases by 5%. Lasts for 10 seconds. Stack up to 3 times. Ooh, so does that mean like 30% attack, 15% attack speed? I don't know, but we're activating it. Let's see. I'm assuming that's what that means if you can stack it up to 3 times. Look at that. C2 Diluc. Okay. I hope this video was helpful to those of you that wanted to know what's going on. Once again, subscribe if you wish to see more content like this, and I hope that you guys all have a great day. So I'll see you later. Bye.